My name is Clara Bennett. I'm 36 years old. Before everything came apart, I believed betrayal would be loud. I thought it would come with shouting, with slammed doors, with something sharp enough to point at and say, "There." That's when it broke. I didn't know it could happen quietly. I didn't know it could happen through a phone screen check while you're standing on a rooftop, fixing something for someone else, listening to your entire life being dismantled in the next room. I own an HVAC company. 4 employees, 2 vans, long days, steady work. I fix systems in buildings that don't belong to me. Turns out, I'm better at fixing buildings than I am at fixing people. Marcus Hale was 33. My boyfriend before he became my husband. 8 years together. 5 married. He worked in HR at a logistics firm. Stable job. Predictable schedule. The kind of life people call comfortable. Marcus called it boring. Not to me, to everyone else. I didn't hear it from him first. I heard it from Tara, his ex, at a barbecue 2 months before everything fell apart. She'd had too much to drink, leaned in too close, smiled like she knew something I didn't. "Don't take it personally," she said. "Marcus just gets restless. He always does." I asked her what she meant. She hesitated. That half-second pause people make when they realize they've said too much. Forget I said anything. I didn't forget. I filed it away. Same way I log a service call. Note it. Handle it later. 2 weeks after that, my sister Lena started coming by more often. Lena Bennett, 33, 3 years younger than me. We grew up sharing a room. I taught her how to drive, helped her get her first job, loaned her money I never asked back for. She had a way of moving through life like consequences were optional. Charming, careless, always chasing something better. I didn't see it then. Or maybe I did, and chose not to. The day everything changed started like any other. Commercial job, rooftop unit, Stamford. Wind cutting across the building, tools spread out beside me. My phone buzzed. Notification from the baby monitor. Motion detected in the nursery. I almost ignored it. We didn't even have a baby yet. 14 months of trying. $11,000 in treatments. A room painted soft white with a crib I built myself because Marcus said it would help him visualize the future. I opened the app expecting to see nothing. The camera showed an empty room. But the audio was clear. Too clear. Marcus's voice. And Lena's. Marcus said, "She's on a job until 6. We've got time." Lena laughed softly. "I can work with time." I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stood there with my phone in my hand, while the wind pushed against my back and the world kept going like nothing had just ended. At first, I thought it was just an affair. That would have been enough. But then Lena said something that changed everything. I talked to the lawyer. Silence on the line. Then Marcus. "And if we establish that I've been staying here consistently," she said, "I can claim residency. Once Clara moves out, I file for exclusive possession during the divorce." My grip tightened around the phone. Marcus asked, "What about the house?" Lena's voice didn't hesitate. "Her name's on the deed, but I can argue contribution. If I get it in settlement, we refinance or sell. Either way, we walk with something." They started talking numbers. Savings, accounts, my business income. Splitting everything like they were dividing furniture after a yard sale. Marcus laughed. "Not bad for a boring life." They both laughed. In my house. In my bedroom. Next to the nursery I built for a child we were supposed to have together. I sat down right there on the rooftop. Didn't call anyone. Didn't leave. I listened. 34 minutes. Every word, every plan, every detail of how they were going to take my house, my money, my life. And the worst part? Lena said, "She won't fight. Clara fixes things or she walks away." Marcus agreed. "Yeah, she's predictable like that." Predictable. I looked out over the hedge of that building. Cars moving. People living their lives. And for the first time, I realized something they didn't. They thought I would walk away. They were wrong. I climbed down from that roof, not as a wife, not as a sister, but as a problem solver. And they had just made themselves the problem. I didn't go home right away. I drove to a parking lot 2 blocks from the job site, turned the engine off, and just sat there with my phone in my hand. The recording was still open. Paused. 34 minutes of my life reduced to evidence. I didn't cry. That part of me felt suspended, like it had been set aside for later. Grief could wait. What I needed now was clarity. And a plan. Marcus was right about one thing. I fix problems. So I made a call. Adrian Cross picked up on the second ring. He'd handled my business formation years ago. Contracts, licensing disputes, anything that required precision over emotion. "Adrian," I said, "my husband is sleeping with my sister. They're planning to take my house. I have it recorded. There was a pause, not shock, just calculation. Recorded how? Baby monitor, in my house, motion activated. I didn't set it up to spy, it was already installed. Another pause. That's your property, your equipment, your home, he said. You're fine. I closed my eyes. What do I do? He didn't hesitate. What do you want? I thought about that. About Marcus's voice. Lena's laughter. The word boring. I want everything, I said. Define everything. The house, my business, my savings. I swallowed. And I want them to walk away with whatever debt they've been hiding. A quieter pause this time. Then we build a case, Adrian said, and we move fast. I went home that night like nothing had changed. Marcus was in the kitchen when I walked in, smiling, casual. Hey, he said, long day? I looked at him, really looked at him. At the man I had built a life with. At the man who had just spent the afternoon in my bed with my sister, planning how to erase me from it. Yeah, I said evenly. Busy. He kissed my cheek. I didn't flinch. That surprised me more than anything. Lena wasn't there that night, but her presence was. In the way Marcus checked his phone more often. In the way he didn't quite meet my eyes. In the way the house felt, occupied by something I couldn't see but could feel everywhere. I ate dinner across from him. Asked about his day. Listened to him lie without hesitation. And somewhere in the middle of that conversation, I stopped seeing him as my husband. He became a variable. That night, after he fell asleep, I picked up his phone. Same passcode he'd used for years. Our anniversary. I almost laughed at that. Predictable. The messages weren't hidden. They never think they need to hide them when they think you'll never look. Marcus and Lena. Weeks of conversations. Photos. Plans. Jokes. And beneath all of it, transactions. That's what caught my attention. A credit card I didn't recognize. In Lena's name. Marcus listed as an authorized user. Balance, $28,400. I scrolled. Restaurants I'd never been to. A weekend trip I didn't know existed. And one charge that made me stop completely. $4,200. Law firm. So Lena wasn't just talking about a lawyer. She had one. They were building this. Step by step. Behind my back. I kept digging. Email threads. Documents. And then, there it was. A home equity line of credit application. $175,000. Against my house. My name was on the mortgage. My credit built that equity. And they had tried to borrow against it without me. The application had been denied. They needed my signature. But the attempt was there. Documented. Time-stamped. Intent. I didn't feel anger. Not yet. Just confirmation. I took screenshots. Every message, every transaction, every document. 47 images. Uploaded them to a secure drive. Forwarded copies to Adrian. When I finished, I set Marcus's phone back exactly where it had been. Then I lay down beside him. He shifted in his sleep, turned toward me. His arm draped across my waist like nothing had changed. I stared at the ceiling. And for the first time since the rooftop, I understood the full shape of the problem. This wasn't an affair. This was a plan. Adrian called me at 7:12 the next morning. I reviewed everything, he said. The recording alone is strong. Combined with the financials and the loan attempt, this is serious. How serious? Serious enough that a judge will listen. Serious enough that they should be worried. Good. Here's what we do, he continued. Over the next 10 days, I built my exit. Quietly. Precisely. The way they thought I never would. First, I withdrew $21,500 from our joint savings. My half. Transferred it into a new account. Different bank. My name only. I left the other half untouched. Let them believe nothing had changed. Second, I moved my business account. $30,000. All of it legally mine. Protected before they even realized it needed to be. Third, I documented Lena's residency attempts. Ring doorbell footage. Her arriving with bags. Staying overnight. 17 separate entries. Dates, times, patterns. They thought they were building a claim. I was building a case against it. Fourth, I filed for divorce. Adrian submitted everything sealed. Marcus wouldn't know until I decided he would. And through all of it, I lived in that house with him. Shared meals, shared space, shared silence. Every conversation layered with something he didn't know I knew. Every glance measured. Every word controlled. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me, like he was trying to read something. Like he sensed something shifting beneath the surface. But he never asked. Because asking would mean risking the version of reality he was still comfortable in. And Marcus preferred comfort, even when it was built on lies. Day 10. I stood in the doorway of the nursery. The crib still there. The walls still soft white. The monitor still mounted in the corner. Silent now. I walked over and turned it off. Not because I didn't need it anymore, but because I had already heard everything I needed to hear. Behind me, I heard Marcus's voice. You okay? I turned, looked at him, at the man who thought he had 3 more weeks to finish replacing me. Yeah, I said calmly. I'm fine. And for the first time, that wasn't a lie. Day 11, I chose the moment. I got home at 5:45 p.m. Same time I always did. Same routine, same driveway, same house. Except this time, it wasn't mine in the way it used to be. Marcus was in the living room, on my couch, watching TV like nothing in his life was about to collapse. Lena was in the kitchen, cooking, in my kitchen, like she already lived there. For a second, I just stood in the doorway. Took it in. Not the betrayal, I'd already processed that. The arrogance. The way they had settled into something they thought was permanent. Like I was already gone. I set my keys down, slowly. Marcus looked up first. Hey, he said, casual. You're early. I'm on time, I replied. My voice didn't shake. That caught his attention. Lena turned from the stove, smiling like she had every right to be there. Hey, Clara. I looked at her. Really looked at her. At my little sister. The one I used to walk to school. The one I used to defend. The one standing in my house, cooking dinner with my husband. Lena, I said evenly, get your things. The smile slipped. What? You're leaving tonight. Marcus sat up. What are you talking about? I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. I heard everything, I said. The baby monitor in the nursery, it's been recording for months. Silence. Not confusion. Not denial. Recognition. Lena's face lost color first. Marcus stood. Clara, wait. No, I cut in. You don't get to explain. You had 34 minutes to explain. I listened to all of it. Lena's hand gripped the counter behind her. I stepped forward, slow, controlled. I have the recording. I have the credit card statements. $28,400 in hidden debt. I have the home equity application for $175,000 against my house. Marcus froze, not moving, not speaking, just processing. I kept going. I have everything. The room felt smaller, like the air had been pulled out of it. Lena tried to recover first. Clara, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I said. And it's worse. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Let me explain. You can explain to your lawyer, I said. Then I looked back at Lena. You have 20 minutes. Her voice cracked. 20 minutes for what? To get out of my house, I said, or I call the police and report an unauthorized occupant attempting to establish fraudulent residency. Marcus blinked. Clara, you're overreacting. I turned to him. And for the first time, I let something cold show through. Try me. That shut him up. I checked my watch. 19 minutes. Lena moved first. Fast. Drawers opening, closet doors slamming. Panic replacing confidence. Marcus stood in the middle of the living room like he couldn't decide which version of reality he was in. Clara, he tried again, softer this time. We can fix this. That word, fix. I almost smiled. That's the difference between us, I said. You thought this was something I'd try to fix. He stared at me, like he didn't recognize me anymore. Good. He shouldn't. Lena packed a bag in 14 minutes. I timed it. When she came down the stairs, her hands were shaking. She avoided my eyes. Didn't apologize. Didn't say anything. Because there was nothing left to say that would matter. She walked past me. Marcus followed her to the door. Lena, she'll be fine, I said. He turned back toward me. What does that mean? It means she made a choice, I said. Now she lives with it. Lena paused at the door. For a second, I thought she might turn around. Say something. Anything. She didn't. She walked out. Marcus stayed. Of course he did. Because this was still his plan. Still his house. Still his life. At least, that's what he thought. He closed the door slowly. Turned back to me. Clara, please. That word again. Please. I walked to the counter. Picked up a folder. Set it down in front of him. What's this? He asked. Your reality, I said. He opened it. Inside. Printed transcripts of the recording. Bank statements. Screenshots. Legal documents. Everything. I watched his face change as he flipped through it. Confusion. Then realization. Then something closer to fear. You went through my phone? I went through my life, I said. You just happened to be hiding in it. He dropped the folder on the counter. Clara, this isn't how this works. It is now. He shook his head. No, we can still... You're being served divorce papers tomorrow morning, I said. That stopped him. Completely. I filed 4 days ago. He stared at me, like I'd just said something in a language he didn't understand. I've already withdrawn my half of the savings. My business account is secured. The house, I paused just long enough, is in my name. His voice dropped. What? You're on the mortgage, I said, not the deed. Silence. Heavy. Final. Adrian will explain what that means to you, I added. Marcus took a step back, like the ground had shifted under him. Clara, we can work this out. I looked at him, at the man who had called me boring, who had laughed about it, who had planned to erase me. You called me boring, I said quietly. His eyes flickered. That's not... You said it to your ex, I continued. You said it to Lena. You said it while you were planning to take everything I built. His mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You made a plan. And plans have consequences. That night I packed a bag. Not because I was leaving, because I needed one night away from the version of my life that no longer existed. I booked a hotel. $89. Best sleep I'd had in months. At 8:15 the next morning, Marcus was served. Driveway, on his way to work. He called me 11 times before 9. I didn't answer. He called Adrian. Adrian did. Later that day, Adrian called me. He says this is unfair, he told me, that he needs time to process. I almost laughed. He had 3 months, I said. And a lawyer? Adrian asked. He'll get one. He already did, Adrian replied. She wants the house. Of course she did. I leaned back in my chair. Then let her try. Because for the first time since the rooftop, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was ahead. And they were just starting to understand how far behind they really were. Marcus's lawyer called Adrian the next morning. Confident. Measured. The kind of voice people use when they still think they have leverage. My client wants the house, she said. He's been living there. He's contributed to the household. He has a right to the property. Adrian didn't even pause. Your client is a co-borrower, he said, not an owner. The deed is solely in my client's name. The down payment, $48,000, was made before the marriage. Additionally, your client attempted to open a $175,000 home equity line of credit on the property without the owner's consent. Silence. Then, that's an allegation. It's documented, Adrian replied. If your client pushes for the house, we file a fraud complaint. The tone shifted after that. Not immediately, but noticeably. By the next day, the word changed. From demand to negotiation. While the lawyers worked, Marcus didn't. He tried something else. He called my mother, told her his version, said I was controlling, said I had overreacted, said I was destroying a marriage over one mistake. My phone rang that afternoon. I knew who it was before I answered. Clara, my mother said carefully, Marcus told me what's going on. I didn't respond. I let her finish. He says you kicked him out, that you're not giving him a chance to explain. I looked out the window, at nothing in particular. Mom, I said, he's been sleeping with Lena. Silence. Then, what? For at least 3 months, Perry, I continued. And they weren't just having an affair. They were planning to take my house. He applied for a $175,000 loan against it. Without me. Another silence. Heavier. Lena, she said finally. Yes. A breath on the other end of the line. Unsteady. That doesn't sound like her. I closed my eyes. I have it recorded. That changed everything. Send it. I did. 2 minutes. Just enough. Marcus's voice. Lena's voice. Clear. Undeniable. My mother called back 4 minutes later. She was crying. I'm going to kill him, she said. Don't, I replied. Just don't help him. That mattered more. No money, I added. No place to stay. Let him deal with what he created. She didn't hesitate. He's not welcome here, she said. What do you need from me? It was the second time someone had asked me that. Adrian was the first. I thought about it, then said, nothing. Just don't protect him. Done. So... Marcus tried to see me in person. Showed up at one of my job sites. Walked straight past the posted signs. No hard hat, no clearance. My foreman stopped him. You can't be here. I need to talk to my wife. My foreman called me. I was in the trailer. Tell him to leave, I said, or I'll file a trespassing report. He didn't leave. Of course he didn't. He started yelling instead. Calling me cold. Calling me unreasonable. Saying real relationships don't end like this. I picked up the phone. Called it in. Non-emergency. Unauthorized person refusing to leave a commercial site. The police came. Marcus left before they walked him out, but the report was filed, and that was enough. Day 17. Marcus posted online. Long message. Carefully worded. Didn't use my name. Didn't need to. He talked about betrayal, about being abandoned, about facing financial ruin because of someone who couldn't handle the truth. The comments were split. Some sympathy, some doubt. And then, one comment changed everything. Tara. His ex. Marcus, she wrote, we both know what really happened. Delete this. He deleted the post within 3 hours. Too late. Screenshots existed. Adrian added them to the file. Day 20. The number came. $60,000. That's what Marcus wanted. Half the estimated equity. Give him 60, his lawyer said, and we walk away. Adrian called me. He wants 60,000. I didn't even think about it. He gets 0. A pause. Not even a counter? I leaned back in my chair. Thought about the rooftop. The recording. The word boring. 5,000, I said. Moving expenses, take it or we file fraud. Adrian relayed it. 2 hours later, they accepted. $5,000. That's what it came down to. 8 years. A marriage. A plan to take everything I built. Reduced to $5,000. And a debt he couldn't escape. The divorce finalized 6 weeks later. Clean. Precise. Final. I kept the house. The business. My savings. Everything I had built. Marcus kept his car. His clothes. And $28,400 in credit card debt in his name. But the part that stayed with him was the loan. Adrian reported it. The attempted line of credit. The falsified documents. The inflated income. The lender opened an investigation. It didn't go criminal, but it didn't need to. Marcus's credit dropped overnight. 700 to 489. No loans, no leases, no recovery anytime soon. And Lena, the man she chose, the life she thought was more exciting, lasted 11 days. That's how long it took for reality to replace adrenaline. No secrecy, no thrill, just debt, consequences, and each other. They didn't last. Of course they didn't. Lena moved back in with our mother. Temporary, she said. My mother told me she made every day uncomfortable. Not cruel, just honest. Marcus lost his truck 3 weeks after the divorce. Payments missed. Repossessed. He called me once. After everything was done, I answered. Because I could. I know I can't fix this, he said. At least he understood that part now. I just want to know one thing. I waited. When did you stop loving me? I thought about that. About the moment. The exact second everything shifted. On a rooftop, I said, at 2:15 in the afternoon. When I heard you call me boring, to the woman you were sleeping with, in the bedroom next to the nursery we built together. Silence. Then the line went dead. Last week, my foreman asked me something. We were installing a system in a commercial kitchen. You doing all right, he said. I kept working. I'm working, I replied. He shook his head. That's not what I asked. I looked at him, then around. At the job. At my hands. At the life that was still intact. I'm sleeping in a house I own, I said. I'm running a business that's growing. I'm eating food I cook. I paused. Yeah, I'm all right. He nodded, then asked, the nursery still there? I thought about it. It's not a nursery anymore, I said. It's an office. He winced. That's rough. I shook my head. No, I said. That's renovation. You take out what doesn't work. You build something that does. The house is quiet now. No second set of footsteps. No voices behind closed doors. No one calling my life boring from the next room. Just me. My work. My space. My name on everything that matters. They wanted something exciting. They got debt, investigations, collapse. I wanted something stable. Something that worked. Something real. I didn't lose that. I just had to remove the people who didn't understand its value. The room that used to be a nursery now holds a desk, a computer, files, growth. It's not what I planned, but it's mine. And the only sound in that room now is something steady, something reliable, something that pays for everything they tried to take. Boring. Turns out, boring is what survives.